This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Today we have Justin Mink in the house. How are you, Justin?
I'm great. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us today. So just a quick bio on Justin. So Justin Mink's sales and entrepreneurial journey started in the halls of his junior high, where he ran a bootstrap business selling blow pops to classmates. Since then, he has spent a career in leadership, founder, and roles at several of the fastest growing companies in history of American business. In 2007, he launched the enterprise division at ReachLocal, helping to take the company public while pioneering digital marketing best practices for multi-unit brands. He is a co-founder of Music Audience Exchange, a music marketing technology company that today has over 100 employees and has generated over $100 million in revenue, and previously served as a CMO at the cannabis big data firm New Frontier Data and go-to-market leader of the enterprise team at Scorpion Internet Marketing. Today, as Certified Outgrow Advisor, he helps clients install the mindset and behaviors that drive systematically predictable revenue growth. A native of Washington, D.C. area, he and his family now live in Dallas, Texas. So, Justin, we'll just kind of kick it off. Loved already the first, intro of your bio there. So you kicked off your journey selling blow pops in junior high. What did that early experiment teach you about customers, cash flow, and persistence?
It didn't take a lot of persistence to sell blow pops, I have to say. I'd say the biggest lesson was that selling, when you have a real solution to a problem, is the most organic, natural thing that you can do. When you really solve problems, and in the case of selling blow pops, that problem was a need for a sugar rush almost all the time for 12, 13-year-olds. It is a natural, a true service. It is helping. And there's nothing more gratifying than when you're selling something that truly fulfills a need that people have gratitude for. There's nothing more fulfilling than that. So that kind of set the tone for how I would always think about sales going forward, just that early experience.
That's awesome. So you started earlier than us. We started our career in real estate at 19, buying and selling houses. But hey, you
not much earlier. Yeah.
So Justin, how did that bootstrap mindset influence your later decisions at larger companies and startups?
It just steered me towards revenue and growth always. I always found it to be the most fun kind of professional endeavor for a lot of reasons. One, I'm very goal oriented, and so it's very tangible whether you succeeded or failed in any kind of sales or revenue generation role. So I like the tangible nature of it. I like the fact that when you put effort in, it is returned almost commensurately, right? The more effort you put into selling something, the more you will get back, almost invariably. So absolutely. I really like the fact that it was so tangible. Like the effort I put in, I will get back in spades. Yeah. So I just found, and I also really enjoyed the fact that not a lot of people seem to be good at it. And if you're good at selling and you take the right approach to it, you are really a very marketable professional. And it is a rare thing to combine good selling skills, business acumen, some creativity, an analytical mind. So I really felt like it aligned with sort of where I gravitated naturally.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm going to take you a total side. It's something that I was just thinking about as you were talking about that, and we were talking about your bio, but because we've had some periods, because you're focused on revenue growth, sales, all that. But have you, when you're coaching or mentoring other people or in your own companies, was there ever moments where you had to stop and do you recommend always growing revenue, or has there been periods where because there's been certain periods in our career where we've had to fix some business. So usually sales creates problems and then things break, and then we didn't lay off we didn't focus as much on sales and revenue growth because we had to fix some things first. We didn't stop. We never have stopped, but we've had to slow down and I guess fix some things. And what's been your experience on that?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I had a selling mentor. There's sort of two guiding philosophies that have really crafted how I think about exactly what you're talking about. Maybe you might accuse me of being a little extreme about it, but one mentor really drilled into my head that a top revenue generation leader, their job is to break the company. It's to break the company. Bring in so much business that it just everything starts like you can hear the metal starting to creak, and the screws pop off.
Create the problem.
And then I had another business partner, mentor of mine, and you've heard this before. Revenue solves all problems. So I would much rather sort of push the company, and it's a healthy push, right? It's like blood flow. It's oxygen, and almost like a forcing function to get operations, product, finance in line to handle that kind of volume. And it's the best problem that you can have in business. So I'm always going to lean towards push.
Yeah. Have you ever seen it backfire or no?
I've seen it backfire in the short term. Yeah. I mean, where the service starts to degrade a little bit in the short term. I have never seen it. I mean, this is my limited experience, the lens through which I view it. I've never seen it backfire over the long haul.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's almost like going to the gym, right? Like if you're on a roll with revenue growth, it starts to feel like the flywheel effect. The flywheel starts turning more fluidly and easily. And the moment you step off the gas to reorient around ops or just getting your back end in line, getting back into that swing of things, like going to the gym, right? You take a week off over Thanksgiving and getting back into the gym that first few days back is like you got to drag yourself off the couch. So I find that same dynamic to apply to selling.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. We've always taken that. We just pushed it, but it's not for everybody.
And ops, our operation side of things, right? Our team gets stretched and they start to complain, So my question to you is, how do you get them aligned with your marketing and your strategy of let's grow?
Yeah, great question. I think it's bringing in the right clients. And I think that's where it ties back to selling the right way. So that it truly is a win-win all around. And so you need to set up, if you're on the front lines of revenue growth and you have a team on the back end that is responsible for filling the service, you've got to tee them up for the ideal client that will benefit the most from your products and services, has the most growth opportunities organically, expectations align with what you're set up to deliver, guard against scope creep. That all happens so in my experience, those ops teams, when they get stretched, if you're bringing in the right clients, they are happy to continue to go deeper in hiring, in processes and systems to fulfill that business. If you're bringing them the wrong client, then you've got a real problem. Real problem.
Yeah. It's because we met you at a franchise a concept and what we've seen a lot is people they take their foot off the pedal to fix things. Like, I got to fix this first. And it's like, and they usually, we come a year from now at the next annual meeting and they're not there.
They're in the same spot.
Or they're in the same spot. It's like they'll spend I don't get it. Yeah. And we tell them, like all those, especially the smaller businesses, it's like, you just got to grow. Like your problem is you're not growing fast enough. You're not, and usually that can fix a lot of things, but they're so worried about their service. I think at times that they just miss the boat on a lot of things, but I don't know.
Can I bring something?
Yeah.
That sort of just brings something up for me. I think a lot of times companies know exactly what they need to do to grow. Doing it is so overwhelming. It's scary. It feels risky. And so they will distract themselves with a million different things that they think are productive.
Right.
Just to prevent having to face down the reality of what it truly takes to grow. And that's just a lot of grit and hustle and hard work and the stuff that is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It doesn't rely on the new technology implementation. It's just like getting down into the dirt
Dirty.
of the business and really just hustling and reaching out, building relationships, having conversations, risking hearing no directly in your ear hole from people. Like that's a very scary proposition. So I think a lot of companies and leaders will just distract themselves with things that feel productive. It's a phenomenon that just applies across industries because it's human psychology.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great point. Yeah. I was listening to Tim, was it Bill You, that Grew Quest, and he was just talking about that. And he was like, from business owner perspective, you just got to, you got to do those gritty, hard things, really. And people get, you said distracted or find every excuse sometimes to not do that. So, and I loved your point about the bringing in the right clients, because we're in property management and we've had moments where we've grown like crazy, and when we brought on you can bring
the
on
C client, right? That sucks up all that time and energy.
Yeah. It can really hurt your ops, but if you're bringing in the right clients, the right properties, the right thing, it can flourish. And so it's, so that was spot on. But one question I had is, when you launched the enterprise division at ReachLocal, what problems were you solving for in multiple brands? Because you guys cater to multiple types of businesses, and how did you structure your team to handle multi-unit brands and at scale? I think that's very difficult. But
that was probably the most fun I've had in my career, because this was in early 2007. Like January of 2007. This was back when you can call, you name it, you name the type of local business, a plumber, and say, hey, did you know there were 50,000 people on Google who searched for plumber Dallas last month? And the response that you would get more often than not was, I'm good with my double truck in the yellow pages to see how this interwebs thing works out. It might be a fad.
Yeah.
So like, it was just on the crest of a wave that was so much fun. And what we were doing that was really cool was helping these multi-unit, mostly franchises, figure out how to take a brand controlled, compliant, overarching program and scale it across multiple local markets. And so it would have a degree of customization around budgets and ad copies and websites and landing pages, but still fit into the overall framework of a brand program. That was really cool stuff. It's so much fun. Like I can't tell you how much fun that was. It was just being part of a rocket ship at that time, in the early aughts.
What were some of the critical initiatives that, because you guys ended up, you were there when they went public, if I have my notes correct. Yeah, and so what were some of the critical initiatives, and then also, what metrics in your division did you obsess over, and when it comes, I guess, growth and all that?
Yeah, that was so the real linchpin, the turning point, the inflection point for the company was taking a kind of an agency reseller model, so providing the technology backbone to these agencies that would go out, white label it, and sell it to the end user, and turning that into a more feet on the street, like yellow page model, with teams of people going out and selling directly to the businesses, whether small businesses in local markets or my team kind of on the enterprise side. So that, to my knowledge, there were others that followed suit, but ReachLocal was the first company to take that feet on the street direct selling approach to selling Google advertising, primarily pay-per-click.
Yeah.
So that really drove it. I mean, for us, the metrics was always top line. I mean, that was what I was responsible for.
Right.
Yeah.
I let everybody else worry about like what was happening on the back end and margins and all, net operating profit. I was just full on top line. That was another appealing part of it for me, because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So understanding pipeline, like it's the lowest common denominator to drive sales, right?
Yeah.
So that for me, focusing on that one number was a real easy mission. Like I had a very narrow blinders focus on top line.
Gotcha.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Was there any missteps during that time, and maybe a lesson that you carried forward into maybe what still today that you learned from then, or?
Yeah, for sure. The company went pretty wide, getting into different types of markets, products, services. And there was a faction within the company who believed that we needed to go deeper into our core competency, into how do we continue to drive qualified leads in local markets via internet advertising. And the company, went very wide, got into some interesting, kind of exciting, kind of sexy businesses that were kind of adjacent. Mm-hmm. But you used a lot of resources on pursuing those adjacent channels versus the opportunity cost we missed of going deeper down into what we were already great at and known for. Mm-hmm. I think was pretty costly. So it kind of taught me around the fact there's an awesome quote that is one of my favorites from Jim Collins, the guy who wrote Good to Great and Built to Last. And a successful company is more likely to die of indigestion than starvation. So staying super focused on what you love to do and what you can be best in the world at doing, and having being really maniacal about saying no. Mm-hmm.
It's much easier said than doing it in practically, but yeah.
Much easier, right? I do all this stuff for my own benefit as much as my clients and the people I coach. Like I need to follow my own, drink my own Kool-Aid.
We have some scars from going too wide or just, man, I lost a lot of money. It's like,
just stay focused.
Let's keep moving forward. I don't want to think about it either. Depressing.
We went from Scorpion to ReachLocal as a consumer, for a client of theirs, and then
no kidding.
And then we went back to Scorpion. I think we're back at Scorpion, if I'm correct.
You're kidding. Cool. Yeah. Cool.
What else? I want to tell us about this Max and what is it?
Music audience exchange.
Yeah, it's an interesting. We were a little ahead of our time when we built this. So myself and I had left ReachLocal summer of 2013. Took a sabbatical in my late 30s, backpacking around Southeast Asia solo for a few months.
Nice.
Yeah, and I had been mentored and developed a friendship and a working relationship with one of ReachLocal's founders and the president, a brilliant entrepreneur named Nathan Hanks. And it just so happened that he left ReachLocal coincidentally right after I did. And so when I got back to Dallas, we sat down in a park, and Nathan's original idea, and decided to pursue what was probably like the hardest business idea, but it was the itch we couldn't scratch around helping artists get more exposure via the might of brands. And we had this thesis that sports, things like NASCAR, you could put your logo on a car and really like drive a ton of brand value and affinity. But with music, there was very few, if any, sponsorships beyond the A-listers, like putting, Prince on the stage at Super Bowl. And so we had this thesis that instead of spending $10 million to do that, a brand could better use those funds by sponsoring regional artists who have a lot of brand loyalty and a really emotional fan base in the regions where they're like household names. Mm-hmm. And instead of doing one national campaign with an A-lister, do 50 campaigns with these regional artists and really highlight the artist and the music and use the brand's might to get that artist exposure. And we built this technology platform that would scrape audience data about the artists and align that with the brand, the audience that the brand, the psychographics, demographics, geographics that the brand was looking to appeal to. So, worked
cool.
with brands like music, like Ford, and created their whole Latin music platform.
Yeah.
And hundreds of artists now all across the country as part of Ford's Latin music program. And I could talk for hours about it, but that's the basic thesis of the business. So we were a little ahead of our time in 2013, I think.
Yeah, that is cool.
Super. It seems so practical, right? But I'm sure nobody was doing it at the time. What was do you have like one that was just either one client or one artist that was just super successful, or you had a lot of success with, or is there?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, the list goes on now. Grammy win. I mean, I don't know how many Grammy winners have been on the Music Audience Exchange platform. One of the coolest early stories, we did a very early, like first year of the company's existence, we did a campaign with Dr. Pepper and an artist. Man, Flywheel. I can't. Oh, I'm gonna kick myself for forgetting this. I'll remember the second we jump off. Anyway, these guys, their single that Dr. Pepper was promoting through our platform ended up breaking the top 10, I think, on the Billboard charts.
Wow.
In large part because of the promotion it got and the attraction that it drew. So that was a cool early success. Yeah.
So just a question on that topic. So what is maybe a defining moment in Max's growth story that listeners maybe could apply to their own ventures? Do you have anything in mind?
Yeah, it was really interesting. We didn't really know who we were selling to, how they would buy it, right? Was it promotion? Was it sponsorship? Was it advertising? Mm-hmm. So we were just kind of pursuing all these different avenues and channels. And, some we were meeting with frustration, and what really turned the corner for the companies when we pursued these regional type accounts. So the local bottler for Dr. Pepper, or the regional representative for Jack Daniels. That was where we started to find success. So I think, the lesson learned for a company just getting started and trying to find their way, especially something innovative, you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs on that path. And your customers will tell you what resonates, but you have to be out there swinging the bat and failing over and over and over in order to give yourself the opportunity to find what resonates and what works.
Yeah. Building those relationships, taking lots of no's.
Yeah. I mean, I was one of my counterparts was kind of pursuing the regional. I was pursuing the national campaigns. And let me tell you, those were some tough months for me, tough years, because it was kind of bonking my head up against the wall over and over, and that will do a lot to your confidence over time too. So that was, any kind of startup environment's always stressful. Definitely learn how to build resilience in that kind of environment too.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Shawn and I, we spent a decade knocking on pre-foreclosure doors. So know all about getting those no's and knocking your confidence, because
today you'd probably get shot, but we probably wouldn't be here. But it was interesting. Yeah.
It's perseverance. I mean, that everyone always looks for like the secret sauce, the magical formula, and it just doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. It's resilience, it's perseverance, it's grit, it's tenacity. That's it. There's no secret sauce to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the backpacking. What made you do that?
Oh man, yeah. I was in my late 30s. I was single. I had done that whole Eurail thing when I was a kid, and it was the best time of my life. And I was like, I'll never be able to do this again, and I got to do it now. And I've never been to any part of Asia, so I just bummed off for a few months.
How long were you there? Just a few months?
About 2.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've always, I don't know. I've always admired people that can. I don't know if I had I feel like I would have to be working or like get back into some. I'm sure you left and then you had some time off or before you started your next venture. But yeah, I've always admired people that just are able to just disengage like that. I feel like I'm constantly getting back. And so anyway, that was
I tell you what, though, I do not recommend, if you're going to go to Southeast Asia, don't get bit on the butt by a monkey on an island in Vietnam. Don't do that.
I don't plan on it.
Don't go around and then have to plan the rest of your trip around your rabies shots. Yeah, don't do that.
Oh, wow.
Were you running and then he caught you, or had
I was foolishly feeding them peanuts, and one monkey got mad that thought I was out, but he apparently thought I was holding out on him and decided to bite me.
Oh, my gosh.
Right in the
Wow.
behind. Yeah.
You know, Justin, you seem like a busy guy. You have a family. Like, tell me, how do you do it all? How do you balance, business and life?
With a lot of intention and a definite lack of perfection. For me, taking care of my body is the best way to take care of my brain. So, I'm fortunate enough to live by a really beautiful lake with a 10-mile loop that I can bike around, and, door to door, 2 minutes from a gym. And, as you get older, the one thing I've realized is that all the stuff you have doesn't matter. Anything that you're going to make an investment in that contributes to quality of life, at least for my family and I, is really where we want to lean in. So have a sauna and a cold plunge in the backyard, and just making time to take care of yourself physically, for me, takes care of my mental state. And then I could pour into my clients, my family, the way that they deserve, and do it from a cup that's overflowing with abundance versus a cup that needs to be, is constantly empty and you're scrambling to fill it.
Yeah, love that.
That's great advice. Tell us about what you're currently doing, being a Certified Outgrow Advisor, and explain what that is to begin with. Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's a framework, process, tracking, accountability, and probably most important of all, a mindset to help companies communicate more with the people they don't talk to enough, and that's their current customers and prospects. To proactively communicate human to human when nothing is wrong between transactions, which is, in this day and age, building relationships and proactively reaching out via the phone and via text message, and having the kind of conversations with real curiosity, a desire to help, that we know correlate to growth, drives incredible growth, drives culture, drives positivity, drives confidence, optimism, enthusiasm, and really flipping the script on how people think about selling, this dirty word that a lot of people apply to selling, this kind of used car salesman approach, kind of flipping that to this, creating this rock solid belief in the value that you offer to your clients and customers, the impact that you make, and then translating that into this obligation that you have to help them more. Let them know all the different ways you can help them. Ask what they have coming up in their lives and their business that you can help with. Ask who else you could help, like I help you. And would you please make that introduction? And so getting everybody who touches a customer involved in having those kind of conversations and being a part of growth. We know that statistically when a company leans in and kind of, we call it swinging the bat, when they do that, they grow 15, 30% incrementally every year, like clockwork. So I help my clients build that culture and that cadence and that rhythm into their business. And you, it's not just one, it's not like a CSA that's doing that. You recommend it being more of in your DNA and in your culture, that across the board people are doing that. Or is there? Yeah,
I mean, from what I've seen, the reason why sales initiatives fail are multifold. Sales trainings are great, but the half-life of enthusiasm is pretty short. So this has to be a real sales doing, not a sales training kind of effort, like a real cadence and real accountability and execution. I've seen a lot of friction in sales initiatives where people feel like they're being slowed down because of all the admin and data entry they have to do. So really simplifying things, and most importantly of all, reducing the fear. Because as much as team members will want to be a part of a sales initiative, when they are in that lonely place looking at the telephone and being asked to call someone, the danger, the fear of being told no, the personal risk that it feels like in our bodies and our brains overrides their desire to participate. So when we address the friction and reduce the friction, when we make it part of a rhythm of execution versus just training, and when we eliminate the fear, that's when we can set up the conditions to grow. and change the
I like
culture.
that.
Nice. Explain how you go about also helping companies kind of with their bottlenecks as well. How do you diagnose those bottlenecks? And then I think what like quick wins or quick solutions do you provide that usually can solve those?
Yeah. You know, when we talk about bottlenecks, for me, it makes me think of, and you can see on the wall behind me, I kind of have two distinct businesses. The other is both in the coaching and consulting realm. So the other is the entrepreneurial operating system, or EOS. So a lot of people are familiar with the book Traction. And I think the big way that we address, and it's just a simple set of practical tools that leaders use to manage human energy in their company, simplify things, get clear and aligned on vision and priorities and people, ultimately run a better business. And usually what you'll find is a bottleneck is because of one person or leader or just a handful, where everything has to run through that select handful of people. And God forbid they're ever to step off the curb and get hit by a bus, the business would dissolve because it all lives up here.
Right.
And so creating a system of accountability, right people in the right seats, people who embody your culture, who are held accountable for performance in objective ways, ensuring that everyone's on the same page about exactly where the company's going and the vision and the values. Once we can deploy all of these kind of this framework, then the leader has to take a hard look in the mirror, because at that point, it's their own personal hangups. They have to just let go of the vine. So we set up this infrastructure that allows them to trust those around them and see objectively that those people can be trusted to perform. And then they have to make the mental leap to let go.
Yeah.
Which is a really difficult thing for an entrepreneur.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
Yes. We talked a little bit about EOS and you briefly explained it. What are maybe some of the pitfalls when implementing EOS?
Oh man, where do I begin?
Maybe
So
your
many.
top two.
I'd say my top two, the first two that come to mind anyway, excuse me, using EOS to put lipstick on a pig. Using the terminology around, I don't want to throw too much lingo out there, but running the L10 meeting, which is the EOS terminology for a meeting agenda, or using rocks, which is the term we use for quarterly priorities, kind of using those to defend the fact that you still are running the same old dysfunctional, terrible meetings and same old scattered priorities. And so I see that happening a lot. I think another one is still applying a different set of standards and rules based on hierarchy. One of the things we really emphasize when I'm working, or any implementer's working with a client, is like the same set of standards and rules apply to everybody. There are no exceptions. And ownership in the business does not give you any rights to run the business. It only gives you profit-taking rights and maybe ultimate decision-making about like big things around the company. But as far as your role, responsibility, authority in the business does not have any bearing, and it should not. And so just making sure that people are removing that ego, working from the same playbook and same set of standards and rules.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then uniformly leveraging the tools across the business so that there's not imbalance, because that creates dysfunction.
Yeah.
Yeah. When, I guess, implementing EOS or just taking that start, where do you recommend business owners starting? I have an idea, but I want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do a lot of work with franchises in my EOS practice. I got my start working with franchises at ReachLocal, so I've had many years, and at Scorpion I worked primarily with on the enterprise side, which was franchises for us. So I have a lot of relationships and just background in franchising, and I've trained at this point thousands of franchisees with EOS. They all ask the same thing, like, what's too early? Like, is it too early for me to use? Like, when should we start using these tools? And the answer is it easier to set up a foundation of health, of alignment, of of what it means to be a right person in the right seat in this company and then build on that foundation? Or is it easier to look back and then try to unwind and unpack maybe some bad behaviors or some patterns? So
good point.
Getting 100% on the same page around the vision of the company, exactly where we're going and how we're going to get there. Having a real clear definition of what it means to be a right person who kind of shows up in a way that embodies our values and what it means to be in a right seat. We call it the 5 foundational tools. Building a scorecard that is a set of weekly metrics, primarily activity-based, so that 100% that everyone is accountable for doing the actions that they need to do every week, and that kind of give you the ability to get out in front of issues as they arise before it's harder to solve for. So just the foundational tools of EOS, there's never too early to start. I have a 2-person business. It's myself and my assistant, and we run EOS to the T with 2 people.
Love it.
I think in hiring, starting with hiring somebody like yourself, I think was like critical for us. Like we tried to self-implement and it never worked, And so I think bringing somebody like an expert like you to onboard and implement EOS, I think is it has to be,
and to hold us accountable.
I'm glad to hear you guys worked with an implementer. I'll be curious to hear more about that if you're open to sharing. I think one of the big benefits is a good EOS implementer is just a great facilitator, and is not there to tell the team what to do. That implementer is there to help the team come to the conclusions that are in the best interest of the greater good. And a great facilitator is there to just kind of spot the energy and how is the team relating to each other? Who's holding back? Where are they shying away? Where are they pivoting where they should sit with it because it's just too uncomfortable? So a great EOS implementer just forces the team to sit with the things that are difficult, because it's true, the only way past it is through it. And helps root out maybe some dysfunction that might exist so that the team can just tackle it together.
Yeah. That's a good point. I remember when we first started, there were some very difficult, heavy conversations, right? But we got through that together. And after a year, I think it was.
Yeah. So we're like 10 years into EOS, but we read traction, try to self-implement. You take what you want and it doesn't work, and then we
which I'm sure you see a lot of. They just take bits and pieces from it, right?
And then then we hired an implementer, and then later down the road we actually brought in a fractional integrator and somebody that actually participated in all our L10s, and like you said, just was a really great facilitator. And
cool.
And then groomed somebody in-house to eventually take over and really take it on our own without somebody outside having to come in. So
did it work for you? Did you get what you want out of the model?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
we still.
Good.
I don't know how we would run without it, to be honest. Today, yeah. So I don't. Yeah, all the different aspects of EOS, and so anyways, but yes, it's been
and what's cool is not just at the leadership level, but where our mid-level managers are also implementing it in their
running their L10s,
running their own L10s
and their departments and down. So
all right, cool.
It all trickles up to the company's goals and the company's mission and stuff like that. So it's been really neat. But yeah,
I'm glad to hear that. I think that's one of the cool things I see when teams like you really cascade it down to every level, is that it truly does align. It just simplifies what is typically so complicated, and all the arrows that are so often pointing in 100 different directions just harnesses all that energy to get everybody rowing in one direction. So I'm glad to hear it did that for you.
And one of the biggest things is when we do our annuals and you go back and you look at all that you accomplished that year, because when you're in it, throughout the year, it's like you're just going through all this stuff, but then you look back and you're like, wow, look at all that we accomplished this year. And I don't think we would have done that if we weren't on the OS, having these rocks, having these tasks and to-dos, through the week, and you're just plugging through every week. But you look back at your annuals and you're like, look what we've accomplished. It's a lot. And
it's funny you say that. It's one of the cooler parts about this work that I do or any implementer does is, ultimately we're with our clients once every 90 days. So it's almost like when you haven't seen a friend in 90 days and they've lost 20 pounds, and you're like, oh my God, you're like a different human. And they're
person.
Like, they're so close to the mirror, they're not seeing it because every day it's a little thing. So like when I haven't seen a team in 90 days and like the progress that they've made is like astounding, not only from what they've accomplished, but also just sort of how their cohesion, their health, how they relate to each other, how they solve problems. Like being able to like see that progression every 90 days is pretty cool when they're really committed and making that progress.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is cool.
So tell us, what are you excited about over the next, let's say 12 to 24 months? I know outside in the world as we record this, there's a lot of negativity and all that, but I want to know what's for you and your company or companies, what are you most excited about? And it can be both on a personal and a professional level.
Yeah. So Outgrow, Alex Goldfein, the guy who wrote the book Outgrow, he's been doing this work for 20 years, but the advisory practice is only a little over a year old. So it's a new, EOS has been around for almost 20 years at this point. Outgrow is a new thing as a advisory practice for other outside consultants. And I'm fortunate enough to be one of 2 coaches in our community. So I coach other advisors, and it's an amazing community, really awesome people, super smart, committed. It's a lot of fun to be part of something that is a framework that we know works, and we all seeing amazing results that our clients are having and getting. But also be kind of building some of the infrastructure and the framework, the process. It's a lot of fun to have that kind of level of creativity to apply to it. And I'm also just excited about building my own practice. You mentioned the fact that there's a lot of negativity. And I think for me, this work in Outgrow is in large part a culmination of a personal and professional journey, because as an advisor, we come in and we are all about injecting belief and optimism and positivity and helping our clients realize the great value that they offer to their customers, and that like the energy that I bring into my clients, I want them to bring to their clients and their customers. Because to your point, you turn on the news today or you open up a web browser or you're doom scrolling, and there ain't a lot of positive stuff out there. And so when my clients really start to change how they show up with their customers and clients, and really like fully grok the fact that they are there to help them more, they have an obligation to save them from doing work with people who are not as good as we are. Like that is an amazing transformation that I see happen. I mean, people hire me to grow revenue 30%, but after 6 months, a year, I think the real value they're getting is this culture shift. And that aligns really well with where I'm at in my life, and this kind of gratitude, abundance, to be able to express that professionally. It's like the biggest blessing. I can't be more. There's nothing more exciting than that to me.
That is exciting. Very cool. One more question before we wrap up. So it's a question we ask everybody. So if you could go back into your early 20s, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh man, that guy what a knucklehead. Take better care of your body. I've had 7 knee surgeries, a shoulder surgery.
Ouch.
Countless injuries. When you're young, you think you're indestructible. And even when you get hurt, you still think you're indestructible. So take better care of your body and slow down a little bit to appreciate the moment a little more, whether that's family, friends. It's great to be ambitious and achievement oriented, but it doesn't define who you are. And just be really firm about who you are and the value that you bring into the world that doesn't have anything to do with your accomplishments. And take time to work on that and cultivate that. versus being so head down into achievement. I think if I could go back and the problem is that version of me would have been like, all right, old man, whatever. You only learn it by experiencing, I think.
Yeah.
But, I would have given it my best shot.
You're so right. That's awesome. Great advice there. So how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Yeah, they could just follow me on LinkedIn. If you put in Justin Mink and Outgrow or EOS, or just Google me, you'll find a ton. I post a lot of content on EOS and Outgrow. I have a newsletter called Mink in a Minute.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
That they could sign up for. Or just, my best email is justin.mink@runoutgrow.com.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, this has been an awesome episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have everything in the show notes so our listeners can get a hold of you.
And otherwise, we'll see you all next week. Thanks again, Justin. If there's anything we can ever do for you, please let us know. But thanks again for being with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Justin. See y'all.
Be well.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there, talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.